What up? What up? What up? Another episode of the Cove. Season is winding down. It's been a hot minute since we've been on the air. A couple days. Uh, been quite a wild couple of days. Let me put it that way. I am still a little bit disgusted by how many mushers we have in the chat, how many mushers we have in the Discord, I should say, and how many times I myself get mushed. It is incredible that this still continues to this day. And we know the power of mushing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's better off that way. But with no further ado, let's hop right into this slate. It's not the prettiest. It's not the ugliest. It's somewhere right in between. So let's bring up the screen. Let's take a look at what we got here. Let's start off by taking a look at some odds, taking a look at some matches. Again, season is winding down. I think this is the last set of games for the LCK. So this is like we got 5 slates left, guys. We got 5 good slates. Now, look, the LPL has a little bit of a longer schedule. We've got games going until the 26th over there, but the LCK is done on the 19th. So these are the last 2 games for these teams in terms of what these games mean. Let's take a look. I think that I don't know if people I think everything's set in terms of who can make the playoffs, who can't. This game right here, Kwangdong, DRX, absolutely no meaning. Completely meaningless game. What does that mean? Well, it means nothing. That's what it means. And when games mean nothing, sometimes they get a little looser. But to that end, when you have 2 bad teams like this and you have a lot of guys on both of these rosters that, made their first appearance in the LCK, full time at least, this split, some of these guys are playing for jobs for summer. I mean, these teams probably won't look the exact same when we come back from MSI. And so I venture to guess that this is kind of one of the last opportunities for these guys to prove it on the stage. Now, KDF, Kwangdong, pretty big favorites here, minus 155, which is, concerning when you look at their history. Whether or not they should be favorites is, questionable. But this DRX team, obviously not the best level of competition. KDF coming off of a big win in a kind of reverse sweep fashion over Gen G. No one saw that happening. They were kind of chalky there. So look, I don't know if I want to bet anything on either of these teams. I certainly don't want to bet a sweep one way or the other, not at a minus 260 and certainly not at a plus 190. Well, I shouldn't say certainly at a plus 190. I think those odds are pretty accurate. That being said, what's the total here? Map 1 total, map 2 total, 20.5. I kind of think that this might be a spot where we want to take the overs on those. Let's do something real quick here. Let's take a look. I'm not going to do this on screen, but I want to take a look at something in the 2022 season. Let's go to summer season. Let's go to scoreboards. Let's go to week 9. Let's take a look, see what we got here. Not particularly higher scoring games per se. So, you know what? Perhaps maybe we're not. There were a couple of these that were kind of crazy, but not anything that I would kind of assess as the rule. So, if there was a bet in the series that I wanted to make, it would be that over on map 1, map 2, but I'm not rushing to the book to make that bet. It's certainly something that you can if you're looking for a little bit of action that time of the day. Now, Sandbox Brion. This game has slightly more impact involved in it. Let's take a look here. Where is Sandbox? Sandbox right now is fighting with Hanwha for kind of a playoff spot, but I'm not sure how much that really matters because I do think that the higher seeds get to pick in the playoffs there, but nevertheless, they want to tune up. Brion is completely eliminated. Sandbox should take care of business here. If I'm looking at a bet, I'm probably betting on Sandbox to sweep, but plus 110. I don't think I'm getting favorable odds for that. Brion has shown from time to time that they can take games off of almost anybody in the league, and Sandbox has been on a bit of a slump, I should say. We're looking at the total, 20.5, nothing crazy there. When we pull up these two teams and we take a look at what they do on an average, Sandbox is about a 20.6 total. Brion's a 19.85. They do tend to lean towards that under, but not enough that I think I really want any action here. I will say that if you think that Brion can take some of these games during that kind of large losing streak that Sandbox had, they weren't getting any kills. I mean, let me read you off kind of what happened there for a while. 8, 2, 3, 0, 2, 2, 2. Then they got a 17 and a 19. Now, that being said, some of those games were KT and Gen G, but others were KDF. But that's been kind of Sandbox's MO. They're very, I don't want to say similar to IG, but in the sense that, like, when they lose, they don't put up any resistance. They don't put up any kills. And that's the same thing that we see with IG. So if Sandbox doesn't sweep the series, you're going to be hard pressed to find them in any type of the optimals. But look, stranger shit's happened over the last week and a half. So if you're building a bunch of lineups, you're probably building a bunch of, or not a bunch, but some Sandbox. You're not going to feel good about it, and that's okay. Top over to the LPL. A little bit more excitement over here. We've got TT. We've got Top. Look, TT coming off I don't want to say a bad loss to BLG, but kind of a disappointing one, right? BLG is a team that has a hard time sweeping anybody, and they swept TT in pretty impressive fashion. That being said, Top's not coming off their best performance either. They're coming off a loss to LGD, who's streaking. Game 1, got clobbered. Game 2, they threw it away. TT is a much more formidable opponent than LGD. Or are they? I don't know. At this point, who knows? So this TT Top series, I'm not necessarily sure that I really want to overextend on any of these bets, but if I did, if I was taking a stab at something, perhaps I would consider the spread for Top. Let's take a look at these kind of most recent games from both of these teams in terms of total, at least. Totals 24.5. We're seeing TT pretty consistently go over that. 24.5 is about their average, but if you look at their last like 9 or 10 games, 30, 33, 19, 31, 26, 27, 24, 25. So they're leaning towards the over there. And you go over here and you look at Top, kind of similar. What we got is 35, 28, 38, 16, 29, 30, 46, 36. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's almost a slam dunk to take the over here. I wouldn't say it is a slam dunk, but it's pretty close. Maybe it's not a layup. It's a little mid-range jumper, something right there. So if we're betting, those are probably my favorite bets here. Finally, LNG minus 1,600 seems like a pretty accurate number. They are in the contention for the top spot. After throwing that series against JDG, they looked like they were in full control. Halfway through, Discord started tilting that they should have gone for LNG, Newman specifically, and from there out, they were cursed. LNG, I don't think, controlled any part of the game from that very moment on, but against anyone's legend, I suspect that they're going to be able to take care of business. Look, LNG just went through kind of a murderer's row. The who's who of the LPL was stacked up against them. Some teams get their tough games spread out over the split. Some of them get it early, some of them get it late, but LNGs were just clumped right in. Quite frankly, most of these LPL teams do not, especially the top of the table ones, have to play each other throughout the rest of the season. Their last 4 or 5 games are, against lesser competition, middle table or bottom table teams. So I think we're going to see more slates that look like this. This LNG, anyone's legend kind of map total, we are looking at, about 25.5. We're looking at a kill spread of about 10.5. Let's take a look at this. So when LNG win, Typically, they are winning with high totals. They are covering the spread more often than not. I don't know if I want to go there. I'd probably take the map total just looking at LNG, but let's go take a look at AL. A little less exciting. This AL team, their deaths per loss it's actually pretty low. Is this number even accurate? Yeah, I mean it is. It's only 15.7. So let's keep that in mind. Let's stay away from the total there. Let's look at the DFS, what we can build, what we can't. Maybe build a winner-take-all lineup. Maybe look at some cash, but kind of examine what we can expect from this slate. So as we come over here and we look at the favorites, let me bring it over here. Quiet day in the chat today. It's a quiet day in the chat. I don't know what's going on. Man, it was a quiet day on the streets. And by that, I mean just driving around. I didn't see a lot of cars today. Traffic was at least half of what it was normally. So I'm not really sure what's going on because it kind of feels like half of the normal viewers are here. Maybe you'll come later. Maybe it's this whole daylight savings time. I don't really know. But let's talk about the slate because, again, we've got 5 more of these good slates left. And then that's it. That's it till playoffs. We got 2-game slates and all the bullshit that goes with that. Thankfully, we'll have LEC slates on the weekends. But aside from that, we don't have these great Chinese games. We don't have the great Korean ones. We'll be waking up at more reasonable times unless we're waking up to watch the 2-game slates. Nevertheless, let's take a look at it. So obviously the 2 teams that I think we're most interested in, biggest favorite being LNG, Top Esports being a team that has a why do we got Wayward priced in there? Nope. Oh, we don't have Zeka still. That's super cool. Forgot to add about that. But look, it doesn't appear that these 2 teams can go together, which does mean that you're going to have some questions about what you're going to do. LNG with Sandbox. Let's see how that fits. Pretty gross. LNG with KDF. Less gross, but still gross. Man, I think we are in a weird position here. I know that you want to play LNG, but it appears that they've made it very difficult to do so. Given what we've seen with Top, I think that they should be probably pretty popular in their own right. But, when you're looking at it with the favorites, holy crap, we got to go. Are we not able to do like a mid captain? Like can we go rookie here? Is that not possible? Okay. Can we clear it first? Thank you. Take a look here. No. Okay. If we do closer. No. Okay. All right. Well, what about KDF? I don't know. I have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty popular build. I mean, there's just not a lot that you can build on this slate with favorites. Really weird the way that they have pricing. Let's kind of take a look at how this kind of breaks down. The pricing, Quinton Burrow. It's really kind of these junglers that are pretty expensive, incredibly expensive LNG mid laner rookie. Man, I don't know. This is the first time that I've looked at it. I've been pretty busy this week. I don't think that that's going to change. I'm definitely going to play these slates because there's just not a lot left. But man, this is a tough slate. So look, when we think about what can happen and try and play into what will happen, who do we really think that the upsets are going to be? Where do we think that these scores are going to be, tangible? I don't know. Like we kind of already evaluated that Sandbox doesn't really have much for us, and Sandbox really doesn't fit well with LNG or Top Esports. They lose a game, they're probably nowhere near the optimal. Whereas KDF is a little bit more bloody in their wins, a little bit more bloody in their losses than a team like Sandbox. It's actually, I don't know if that's all true. I might just be talking out my ass there. 14-5 for Sandbox. KDF, really? About the same. About the same. 13.6. Yeah, I mean, More recently, Guangdong has put together a little bit of a streak, though. I mean, they've won what, 6 of their last 8? Yeah, I mean, look, here's the play. Here's the play for me. I mean, the obvious play that people are probably going to go to, but not in big numbers, is going to be TT and AL. I don't know the likelihood of AL actually winning that series. I think it's worth a shot, maybe to bet, less so in DFS. I really don't see them beating LNG. I can see TT being top, not if it's the same TT that came to play against BLG, but definitely if it is the same top that came to play against LGD, the same team that was throwing games against lesser competition. And we see kind of that like mid-season TT. You know, they are a very hot and cold team. They come into some games and some series and they look really good. Other times they don't. So we just have to figure out who's going to show up in that situation. But I think if I'm looking at a dog outside of TT, DRX just likely is the other one that I want to go to. Not because I have confidence in this team, not because I think that they're going to score well, but I think people will look at KDF beating Gen G, KDF beating LSB, KDF. I mean, basically on a 3-series win streak here after losing 4 or 5 in a row. I think they're going to read a little bit too far into it. I do like to emphasize current form. And so, you know, normally if this was a 5-game slate or these other games were a little bit different, I probably would be a little bit more enamored in KDF. I think KDF on a 5-game slate, like on a Saturday, if we had another LPL game, probably ends up being a little bit more sneaky. The pricing for top and the pricing for LNG, probably a little bit different in that scenario. But as weird as it might sound, and as infrequently as this has happened so far, this split, that KDF DRX series, I think, is kind of the key to the slate. Of course, TT can make and render anything from that series moot, I don't know, whichever it is, by winning. But perhaps they're part of the optimal lineup with the winner of that series. So, you know, if you're playing cash, I think it is like a KDF TES or KDF LNG. Either of those situations kind of feel really good. But if you're playing kind of GPP, you're taking a stab at a couple different things. You're either hoping that DRX can beat KDF and kind of give you some leverage, because I think KDF will just a byproduct of pricing be a little bit more owned than they probably should be. You're buying into good TT showing up and top esports throwing some games, or quite possibly that you think Sandbox is going to sweep. So that's kind of what I have. I'm not doing any underdog picks or prize picks tonight. I just wanted to kind of get on here, put together something, talk a little bit about the slate. I'm going to go throw up as I think about this pricing. Not really. I'm not sick, but the pricing is gross. Let's check the chat. Not much happening today. Man, what is going on? I'm going to need you motherfuckers to bring a little bit more energy for me tomorrow to feed off of. Like the motivation here is just not, it's not happening. It's not feeling good. But one of you guys is going to bink. I'm going to bink. It's going to be a big-tastic day. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.